Well, hi there, and welcome to this episode of Scotty Paints. Thank you for joining me, and let's get painting. So today's episode I'm going to call the Evening at Sunset Challenge. Now, when I use the word challenge, I'm not saying that I'm challenging anybody else out there to try to do this painting. No, I'm challenging myself to try to do something that I saw somewhere, and in order to work my skills back up as I go back and get back into the painting habit that I used to have many, many years ago. So this Evening at Sunset is actually a Bob Ross painting, and it's from season 13, episode 4, and I'll show you what it looks like here. And it's a really nice painting. It's done on a black canvas. You take a canvas and you put black gesso on it, and then you add the oils on top of the gesso. Now, everything that Bob Ross did was a oil painting, a wet on wet oil painting technique. And so what I'm going to be doing is something just a little bit different. Now, if you follow my Scotty Paints Facebook page, then you noticed a while back I teased about a box that I got in the mail, and that I was going to do an unboxing video. So what do you say we go over to that box? I'll bring up the palette cam. And here on my palette is this box from Jerry's Artarama. So let's go ahead and we'll open it up here. It says to pull these on the side, so we'll do that. That worked pretty well. You know, if all else fails, use a knife. Let's take a look at what's under the bubble wrap. And you'll see that I have some boxes here of golden artist colors, and these colors, these are acrylics, these aren't oils, and it's their new Open brand that I'm going to be trying and experimenting with today. Now, the golden Open brand of acrylics is a slow drying acrylic. They state that it actually takes 2 weeks for the acrylic to dry. Usually when you're painting with acrylics, you put on some paint and within minutes it's dry, unless you use a retarder to slow down the drying time. And then you get a little bit more, but not a lot. So it depends on how much you want. So anyway, I'm not being paid by Golden to endorse a product. I bought these on my own. I'm going to try them out and see how they go and report back to you. But since they have a 2-week drying time, well, I thought they'd be perfect for doing acrylic wet on wet, without having to use a lot of retarders and working real fast and having more time to work on the canvas rather than like you would with oils. I mean, it takes a couple of weeks for oils to dry if you're using thin layers. So we'll see how this goes. Of course, now being acrylic, I also have the ability to use the hair dryer and speed things up a little bit if I want to. So I'm going to go ahead and get the canvas prepped. I'll go to my over-the-shoulder shot here, and you can see that I have up here on the easel, I have a black canvas that's been pre-gessoed, and I've got up on my big screen TV, which you can't see, but it's right up here. I've got the Bob Ross episode loaded up so I can follow along. So you might hear Bob in the background while we're painting in this over-the-shoulder view that I have right now. So what do you say? Well, I'll go ahead and finish unboxing all this and get the palette ready, and I'll show you what we're using in the way of a palette today. So we'll go back over to the overhead cam. Or my palette cam, as I'm going to call it, I guess. Now, I will warn you these acrylic paints are not inexpensive. They were quite the investment. And it's because of the extended drying time. And one thing I realized that, well, if you have an extended drying time, you have the ability to actually do more painting with the palette you're using. If you look at this palette here, you can see that this is stuff that I painted a couple of weeks ago. Of course, this is hard as a rock here. This is hard as a rock. So there's a lot of paint here on this disposable palette paper that is being wasted. So by covering up your palette with these golden open acrylics with some plastic wrap and having 2 weeks of drying time, you should be able to extend the use and use all of your paint up before it goes hard on you and you end up throwing it away. So that would be one good thing. All right, so let me show you what we have in the way of a palette for today. So here's the palette that we have. So the palette calls for titanium white. So we do have that. That was available in the open colors. The other color is phthalo blue. And let's see what we have here. Looks like I'm going to have to use my regular. I have an ultramarine blue. I guess they didn't have the phthalo blue in the open colors. Oh well. Alright, so we'll have to make do. I'll put some extender. Since this is a big experiment, I'll put some extender in the ultramarine blue and try that on here. It doesn't take a lot. Midnight black. They didn't have midnight black, so I got carbon black. Dark sienna. There's a burnt sienna. They had that, so I went and got the burnt sienna. A Van Dyke brown. They had that, so I got a Van Dyke brown. A alizarin crimson. I got the alizarin crimson. One of the things you'll note if you watch a lot of Bob Ross videos is that's one of the base colors of his palette. Is alizarin crimson. Use a lot of that. Also says here we want sap green. So I got the sap green. We need some cadmium yellow. I got the cadmium yellow. Yellow ochre. I didn't get the yellow ochre. Don't know that they had it, but where that comes in the painting is later on. So we'll add that when we need it because it's on a top layer after you do most of your blending. The key things on this particular video is alizarin crimson and the blue and titanium white and the cadmium yellow to get things started. So you can see I got some big tubes. I got some small tubes. The whole reason for that was to save money because the big tubes, these big tubes can run up to $25 and $30. These is the 5 ounces. The 2 fluid ounces. These were around $10. Normally you'd be paying, for a 5 ounce of, say, Liquitex Basics. This one was $6. So you can see there's quite a bit of difference there. But this paint's going to dry really quick, whereas these others won't. So I may not use much of this. We'll see how it goes. There we go. Okay, now you can see what I've been doing. A little bit better shot. I apologize for not having that on the palette, but what? Looks good on the. Looks better on the video than it does in real life. I'll tell you that. Isn't that funny? Well, I got bright there, didn't I? Watched a lot of other videos of people painting in acrylics, and there's a lot of people out there that like fan brushes. I'm a fan of a fan brush, no pun intended. But we're giving a nice sunset, warm feeling, blending into the sky. This is one way to do it. I'm going to do a test here. Yeah, it's still tacky down there.
color in there.
Yeah, putting down that alizarin without using the thinner, man, that was thick stuff. I should have thinned it down. Because it's just not blending as nicely as I would like it to.
So I'm going to try some tricks here. I'll do that.
Take my blending brush and see if we can get this glow to glow a little nicer. And like Bob says, I don't want to go up too high. Got the blue up here. Don't want a green sky.
This is probably going to be one of the darkest paintings I've taken. Oh, what do you think? Should we go up a little higher? I can see right now that this open thinner is going to be my friend. I'm going to probably have to go and buy some more of that stuff.
I think you can see what I'm trying to do here in getting this glow blended. I'm trying to make a little bit brighter spot here. Keep in mind, I don't do these videos for you to try to learn anything. If anything, you're going to learn from my mistakes. I'm still learning. I'm still going back in. This is just chronicling my journey back into painting and trying to learn the techniques and the tricks of the trade for turning out something that's nice and pleasant and for people to look at. And something fun to do on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon. So, all right. I think I like that glow pretty good. All right. So let's see where Bob takes us next.
Okay, now then, let's have just some little floater clouds around here. And just sort of, still using that same little stroke, just let some of these little things just sort of float around. Let them have fun. See, wherever you want them to go. Maybe there's some little ones that they come right down into that bright spot. Wherever. Here's a little one over here. I see it. There it is. So you just sort of make these things up in your mind and let them drop in.
Crimson, and I'm using ultramarine blue, and we're going to bring this over into the alizarin crimson, and we're going to make a deep purple for the floater clouds, as he calls them. So.
Start putting these up over here. Now I can see that it's blending in a little bit to that from back. And we don't want to blend it all. We want to have some contrast here. I'm guessing the darker the contrast is going to be down here at the bottom. I'll put some more floaters up here, as he calls them.
The junior scientist in me, which comes from growing up with a scientist, says I should look up the proper, see, these are what, stratus? Stratus clouds. I often wondered if a meteorologist has ever gone into an art gallery and looked at all the different clouds and gave a forecast or prediction of what the weather was like that day that the artist was painting based on the clouds. You think? You think that might have happened? Yeah, I don't know. Might be an interesting study to do that. Of course, you'll probably find out that there's a lot of artistic license in the clouds, and you're getting formations that probably didn't go together. So I will have to admit, the paint is really holding its tackiness and being able to blend well long after I put it down. The base layer is still blendable. Yeah, let's see, I'm sure he's going to add some probably over here. Let's go ahead and do that. And the fact that I'm bringing in this Liquitex into the Golden Open, that is probably going to speed up the drying time because of the reaction between the two different types of paint. But that's okay. Really don't need, I'm not going to come back tomorrow and do any more work on this probably. My goal is to finish this up within an hour or so. This is basically a practice canvas for using these paints for me. My first time to use these paints, and I want to see how they interact with each other because I've got a painting that I started. You've seen it. It's the steam locomotive out in Colorado that's now back home. It spent its summer out there in Durango, and they've now got it back to Independence, California. I want to work on that painting. I want to fix the backdrop. I'm not happy with the way the trees came out and the sky, and I've decided that I'm going to put some artistic license into the things that are not in the photo. Oh, okay. How's that look for some dark floater clouds, huh? Blend these out just a little bit. Some light blending there. Just on the tops a little bit. Okay. What's next, Bob?
Still using it, same. Now right here where we decided our horizon would be, we're going to begin tapping in some basic little tree shapes. Look like little trees far away, and allow it to pick up some of that color. So some of them's lighter in the background. It looks like a light shining through. Don't fight this. It'll happen automatically, but sometimes we have a tendency to want to make it darker and darker. Let some of those remain lighter. It really will enhance your painting. There we go. That's one of those happy accidents. Let them happen. And we'll just let that go right on out like so. See, and that easy, we have the indication of some distant trees that are just living far away. There. And you can have as many or as few as you want. Now, one thing that I notice when people first start is they'll put these trees too far apart like this, and they end up looking like fence posts. Should that happen, all you need to do is just add some little things in between, and it'll bring them together and make them look pretty good. There. And wherever we want this to go. There we go. Maybe here and there a real dark one. This might be a little bit closer. Now the super way of making the indication of some little tree trunks that live back in here without doing a lot of work. Show you how to do that. That's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Let me find another fan brush. I have several of each brush going here, so I don't have to waste all of my time cleaning. I like cleaning those brushes. I'm gonna just pull, just barely tap a little tiny bit of white into the brush. Just a little bit. See, none on that side. Just a little bit. Now, if we want to make this look like little trunks that are far away, just take it lightly, pull up. Just lightly pull up. Very light. Color shows up so much stronger on these black canvases. Just lightly. Here and there there's light coming through, and you can see those little trunks that are far away. If you happen to get one that's too light, it's too bright, all you have to do is just go over it 2 or 3 times, and that dark color that we have underneath will just eat it up, and it'll go away. See, and already you have thousands of little tree trunks, and you haven't hardly done a thing. And that's the joy of painting. There. That's a pretty little painting already.
I'm going to stop in a video where Bob paints this painting in 26 minutes. That was the average time for each of the episodes. That's how long he painted, 26 minutes. Now, an interesting note, when I went out to the Bob Ross exhibit at the Franklin Art Center earlier this week, which is out in Purcellville, Virginia, it was interesting to hear that he had requested that none of the paintings that he painted on camera be released to the public. Because the amount of time that he spent doing the reference paintings was much greater. And a lot more detail. In fact, I was amazed. I was totally amazed at the detail that was in the paintings that were on display at that exhibit. It was just amazing. I mean, he was truly a master at painting. I mean, here we are, I'm an hour into this already because I'm stopping and starting and watching him paint, trying to follow his directions. And you don't, with the old shows, the old video, you don't get a chance to really appreciate and see the detail because the resolution of the video was such that you couldn't see the details anyway. But that exhibit is going to be over with here this next week, so if you didn't live out here in this area or make a special trip to come all the way across country to see it, I don't know how many more times they're going to now run exhibits in the future around the country. I thought I saw something where they had one in Muncie, Indiana or something like that, where he had and they're putting together what they call the Bob Ross Experience there at the old studios, the old mansion was donated to the city park years ago out there that PBS used. And the Bob Ross Experience is going to be a recreation of the studios, and you can go in and stand exactly where he stood when he was painting, and should make for an interesting display. And they're going to have some of his paintings on display out there as well. So if you ever get out to Muncie, Indiana, then you'll want to go see the Bob Ross, visit the Bob Ross Experience if you're a fan of Bob Ross paintings. Now, I noticed that I am running out of canvas. I put my horizon line actually pretty low compared to what he had on his. I probably should have had my horizon way up here, but that's all right. We're going to go with it and see how it goes. All right, let's go back to Bob.
Where is our lay of the land? How does the land flow in this painting? Is there a hill here? I think there is. Maybe I'll have a little water. You know me, I love water. So all you got to do is decide where you want your land to be and just start tapping. Just tapping. Like so. Now in reality, if you had a sunset this bright, chances are this wouldn't be quite this green. But it looks better. All these beautiful colors. And you know, when you buy your first tube of paint, you get an artist's license. And that license says you can do anything that you want to do on this canvas. Maybe not anywhere else, but on this canvas, your artist's license gives you complete freedom. So we'll do that. And all I'm doing here is just tapping. There. Now if you get one that's too bright, continue to tap it. And once again, that color underneath will be picked up and automatically will get darker. I'm adding a little yellow ochre, Indian yellow here and there.
All right, I'm going to bring up the reference photo so we can see what we've got going here. And yeah, he's got his horizon line's much higher than what I have on mine, and I'm going to have to leave room for a little river thing here going. So, all right. So I'm going to be careful on how much of this grassy area I put in here, because we're going to have water coming down through here. Now I can still feel that this alizarin crimson that I put down is nice and tacky. It's tacky. We're not really blending into it that well. I'm going to go a little bit brighter here as we come in.
Now I'm starting to pick up a little bit of the crimson there.
All right, hold up, Bob. You're getting ahead of me. Bob's getting ahead of me there. I got to finish up my land on this side of the creek. So the next step, where he's going to pull the reflections down, this is the real reason, well, one of the reasons. I mean, there's two reasons. There's the sky, doing the sky, getting the glow, getting the blending with acrylics, and then being able to pull colors down to be able to create reflections in what would be water areas. And he uses the 2-inch brush. I'm using the fan brush here. That's just my personal preference. He's working on a larger canvas too. show you what my palette looks like right now. As you can see, I've got my colors scattered all over the place. That's the way I roll. At the class, they lay them out in the order that we use them, and so let's see what we got here. Okay, so he just took cad yellow straight up and pulled in. Now this is a soft brush, so this might not go as well as what. See, that doesn't. That's not pulling. See, it's not streaking, it's doing more of a dry brush. What's underneath is just not there. Okay. I can feel it tugging. The alizarin crimson underneath is just way too dry, too thick. I should have used the thinner on it, and you see that I'm ending up with more of a dry brush on this. Okay. I think I might have a way to fix this. Okay. So I sort of told a fib. I do have a 2-inch brush. This is the brush I use to gesso the canvas. I don't know how, if it's gonna do what I want it to do or not. See, now this paint's acting like it's already dried. 2 weeks? I don't know. Okay. Well, let's try an experiment here. I'm going to see if I'm going to put some thinner on this brush. See if I can salvage this. want the strongest yellow to be under where the sun would have been shining. Okay. Blend that out. And then since it's water, we're going to go across a little bit. How's that looking? Looking pretty good on video. Here in the room, to me, it just looks dark. But, oh well. Okay, I'm going to go back up here and work on my land area a little bit. I want to get some highlights in here. All right, palette knife work. I need a lot of work, practice on my palette knife work. I will admit that. I was not extremely happy with my palette knife work at the last class. But to do that, you need a palette knife. And my palette knife fell down on the floor when I was getting some paints. All right.
Now, this is the point where skill of an artist really comes out, being able to work with a palette knife. And, you know, part of my problem might be that I'm just not, right now I think I'm working too low. He says it's scrubbing.
Now, I don't like any of that. That's way too thick. This is where I need most of my work, right here. The palette knife giveth, and the palette knife taketh away. Blend some of this in to create sort of a rocky. Okay, fade that out there. That's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, you messed that up, Scott. Look at that. Oh, what a mess. What a mess I made. What a mess. Not what I wanted. Ah, saving grace is a dry blending brush. All right. That is really, really white. All right. Okay, Bobby. What's next? We're gonna move over to the other side now?
Over here on the other side, we need some things happening over here too. We don't want this. I'll go back to this big brush. Shoot, it's faster. We'll go right into our dark color, like so. Now then, we'll just use the corner of this brush, and let's begin making some big decision. Maybe the other side is over here, and there's little grassy things that live right out here, like that. See, just close that in, turn it into a little stream or a little river. It lives right down here. Whatever you want it to be. I tell you what, let's get crazy. Add a little more color here. I ran out of color. While we got this big old brush going, let's just get crazy with it. Maybe there lives a great big huge tree, right? Let's see, maybe that tree comes. Oh my gosh. When I said big tree, I mean big tree. Didn't realize it was going to be that big, but that's all right. Whatever. Like, see, and I want it to sort of tilt, sort of lead your eye into the painting. And nature doesn't make all of its trees perfectly straight. Trees grow any way that makes them happy. And that one grew right on off the canvas.
Okay, well, as you heard the music, Bob finished with his, and we're what, hour 40 minutes into this video already? Although I'm going to edit it down, so hopefully it's not that bad. But this has been interesting using these paints. I've learned a few things. So they're tacky. They're really tacky paints. As I'm pressing against the canvas, you can feel it sticking a little bit and pulling out. It's the blending up here. That was okay. Bob put a big tree in over here. Yeah, I got to figure out if I'm going to do that or not. So, tell you what, I'm going to continue to work on this. And when I'm done, I'll come back and we'll show you what we got. Okay? So, hang on. We're going to do some video magic here, and I'm going to pause the recording and finish off this painting, and then I'll be right back. Well, here we have it. Here's the finished painting. And I can bring up a multi-view, which will bring up the two side by side. There we go. So over on the left-hand side is my painting, and over on the right-hand side is the master's painting. And yeah, there's quite a bit of difference there. His is in oil, mine's not. Mine's in acrylic. Trying those new golden open acrylics, see how they worked out. So a little bit different. Good practice session. I learned a lot with using these paints. It's not exactly like trying to paint in oil. There's some differences to the feel and texture and that of how the paints come out. So that's all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time. And we'll see you again on another Scotty Paints. Roll credits.